Okay, it's now recording. Good. So, welcome everyone to this rich training for the ECG review team. So, in this meeting, I'm going to show you how to upload new ECG forms into the data management system. First, I'm going to introduce you to the Camolo, to the data management system. I'm going to show you how to operate in there, how to assess what's the work that you have to do, and all the other things that the platform facilitates to do your job. Okay, so I think that first it'd be good to make a brief description of the data flow of the progress, because you depend on other people's work for you to work. So basically, uh, as new women are randomized into the study, the forms are going to be entered into the system, starting from the screening form, then the delivery form, then the SAF form, and at 5 minutes and at 30 minutes, there's going to be an ECG assessment where that's going to be printed and scanned and uploaded into the data management system. So what you have to do in order to review the ECG files is enter into the patient's booklet, assess the image, and then upload the ECG form. So uh, first you have to wait all that to be done in order that you are able to upload your ECG forms. Okay, so you need a way or tool to assess or to determine if you have new ECG forms pending to be entered or not, and that's what the system facilitates, and that's what I'm going to show you first. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm not going to see you anymore because I'm sharing, but just open the mic if you have any questions and interrupt me in any moment that you seem appropriate. Okay. Uh, good. So, could you please confirm that you are seeing my screen right now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Good. So, first thing would be how to access to the platform. Now, the
You know,
data
we are, we
management.
are we are watching your screen, however, not the actual presentation.
Yeah, sorry, because I'm going to show you how to do it. So I start from a new browser. Okay, but so the first thing would be how to enter into the data management system. So I'm going to write it down in the chat. Reach. Now that's the URL to access the data management system. I'm going to open a new tab here. Now the system is a web platform. That means that it is available from any computer with internet access, and you can enter from any browser, the one that you're most used to. Okay, so this is the login screen, and to this is a secure platform, so you need credentials to access the system that will be composed of a username and a password. Okay, now once this training session is over, I'm going to share with you a testing user so that you can access the testing platform to test things and get hands-on with the system. And later on, I'm going to remove those testing users and provide you the final users. That would be the users which you can access the final database, the real data. Okay, so I'm just going to log in as a cardiologist type user. Okay, now this would be the main screen. It's just a brief summary of the data that has already been entered. So many of the things that are shown here is not relevant for you because you do a very specific procedures that would be ECG form uploading and managing. Okay, so I'll try to show you just the modules that are relevant for you. Okay, and so you're going to have a specific type of users that would be ECG reviewer type users that won't allow you to see all the forms. In fact, you won't be able to see any forms apart of the ECG forms, as common data entry people at the hospitals won't be able to see the ECG forms. You will be the only one with access to the ECG forms, okay? But you won't be able to see the other forms uploaded because you don't need them, okay? Now, if you go here to data entry participant list, what the system is going to show is all the data that is already available in the database. Okay, everything that has already been entered into the system will be displayed here in the participant list. Okay, now it has many columns. Every row here is a different participant. And with these columns, you can identify, for example, with the first three columns, you can identify which participant it is. And you can use also the participant ID, that is the number to identify the participant once it has been randomized. Since you're working with ECG data is only going to be uploaded for randomized participants. So you only need to look at this one column, the participant ID column, so you can just uh, don't see the screen ID and just based on the participant ID, okay? And the following columns right here are going to list the forms that have been already entered, okay? So for the first participant, for example, only the screening form here has been entered and a delivery form, but no other form has been entered because we see all crosses here, okay? Now that's regarding the form, the CRF columns. Then you have additional columns that are really relevant for you. For example, you have the files column right here. This is going to show if there are any files that have been uploaded already into the system repository. And it's important for you to check that because you need the image to be uploaded, the ECG assessment to be uploaded in order to conduct the ECG assessment. So you can use this column to see if there are images that have already been uploaded into the system. All right, okay. So this is very important column, and the next most important column is a double entry ECG column. Now, this column is going to show you the status of ECG comparison because you are two independent ECG reviewers. So each of you is going to upload the same form for the same participant. Each of you is going to upload the 5-minute ECG review and the 30-minute ECG review, and that data must match. Okay, so you have to come into an agreement. So this column is going to show you the status of that comparison. Okay, so if the ECG form is displayed in red here, it means that in this case that the ECG form has been uploaded by both of you, but the system detected discrepancies. Okay, so there's things that does not match between the cardiologist 1 review and the cardiologist 2 review. Okay, now what you want to see displayed is the form in green because it means that the system that it is already uploaded in first entry, that would be the first cardiologist, and it has been uploaded by the second cardiologist too, and the system detected no differences between the two forms, so it's displaying in green. You like every form here displaying in green, okay? And the third color would be orange. Now, if the form appears in orange, it means that one of you have uploaded the ECG review, but it is still pending to be uploaded by the other cardiologist. Okay, now that would be all the color codes. Now I know that I'm introducing you to many things. Remember that you always have the system manual to take as a reference manual. So to access the system manual, simply see that this URL is camelot.org/h. Now, if I open a new tab and just type camelot.org/h/docs, you're going to access the system general repository with plenty documentation on study material, system material, and right here you have the system manual. Okay, so if you click here, uh, in a new window, you'll see the system manual that is in an HTML version. Now here, all the procedures available in the data management system are thoroughly described. Now the section that would be of interest for you is going to be section 5 right here. Now if I click on section 5, additional topics, if you scroll down, you see here section 5.4, that's the ECG review. Here you'll have all the details regarding the double entry comparison, how to enter a new ECG form. Okay, so you can use this documentation as the reference manual. Okay, so section 5.4 is relevant for you, and also the participant list, because you're going to use the participant list a lot. So if you go to main menu, data entry here, participant list, that is section 2.2.2. You have now here's the column with all the here's a table with all the columns of the participant list with their corresponding description, and down here you have the color codes that I'm mentioning. Okay, so you just don't have to remember it all. You can always go to the reference system manual, okay, to check anything, right? So I'm going to go back to, let me see, I don't want to miss anything. Uh, so I just showed you system manual now. I think that we can start talking about your workflow as ECG reviewers. So as I told you before, you must have a way to know when you have pending work to do or not. That means when you have pending ECG forms to be entered or not. So to check whether you have ECG pendings or not, then you have to see if there are files that have been uploaded into the system repository. Okay, so you could use the participant list to do that. For example, you can use here the advanced search to filter for this for the files column in particular. So if I use the advanced search here, I can filter the participant list. So if I type ECG, I'm going to filter for all the participants with ECG files uploaded, okay? But this would not be the best thing. For you, we have prepared a special report here in the missing form report. Now, if you go here to reports, missing form, now this is a report that it's not only intended for you, but also for data entries and data managers, okay? So in here, in the missing form report, if you scroll down, first, the report is going to show all the forms that are pending to be entered, okay? So some of these tables are not relevant for you, okay? You're not responsible for entering the delivery forms nor the follow-up forms. But if you scroll down here and go to here, ECG missing, now the system is going to list all the participants that are ready for their ECG form to be uploaded. Okay, so the system is going to show relevant information that will let you assess whether what's the pending work of what you have pending to enter. Okay, so It's going to be separate for cardiologist 1 and cardiologist 2. Now, we'll have, since you are just 2 cardiologists, we have to assign cardiologist 1 for one of you and the other for the other one. So maybe cardiologist 1 could be assigned to Arnold, and maybe cardiologist 2 could be assigned for Matthias, okay? So every time you access the system, the first thing you're going to do is run the missing form report and assess the pending ECG forms to be entered, okay? Now, I think that
Right, that's
it's
me. Yeah.
yeah,
Can I
no,
just, when
yeah.
you say if we should refer to one as cardiologist 1 and the other as cardiologist 2, we just remember that, as in we just note that you're not going to change it so that it's got our name. It's just we know that one of us is always 1 and the other's always 2, and that's that. That's either way's fine, but just clarifying.
Yes, but it is just to keep your name or your information blinded. Okay, that's why one of you is going to be cardiologist 1 and the other cardiologist 2. Either of you could be 1 or 2. This is just to organize. Yeah.
Understood. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe if you agree, Arnold could be cardiologist 1 and Matthias could be cardiologist 2. So Arnold, every time he accesses the system, is going to see the pending forms for cardiologist 1, and Matthias is going to review the cardiologist 2 tables. Okay, so you have to stick to that. Okay. Now, if you analyze the table right here, you see, for example, this is the one testing case that I have prepared for today. So if you here, the first 4 columns are for identification sake. Now you see that this participant right here, 9,338, here is going to be displayed some relevant information that you won't have access to, because you won't have access to any form that is not ECG form. So here I'm displaying the result of 2 relevant questions from the SAF form. So let me, if I go to the repository, right, once again, if I go to the forms, just let me scroll down to the safety outcomes form. Here, can you see the SAF form right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Now the issue here is that there is relevant information here that you need to know to assess how you have to enter the ECG, because if the ECG was not done, then the picture is not going to be uploaded. But you need to know the outcome of this field to know how you have to complete the ECG form. Now, in the case that the ECG was not done, then you have to upload an ECG informing that the assessment could not be done because the ECG itself was not done, okay? But in order to do that, you need to know this information, okay? So that's why this data is listed here in the table, okay? So you see the result, the answer to this question for the corresponding participant here in these last 3 columns, okay? Sorry, last 2 columns, okay? I think that I have another question. Yeah?
Gina, it was me. Just to say, I didn't realize that you programmed it there, but it's fine. That's no problem. My question before had been, if that wasn't there, is it not just, can they see the file was there or not? They don't need to know the reason why it's not there. They just need to know that it wasn't there.
Yeah, that's correct. So yeah. So you'll need all this. That's why I'm listing everything here, so that you have everything you need to enter to do the assessment and enter the ECG form. Okay. Now, for our testing participant that I created, you have here in column, you see that the answer of the question 1 at 5 minutes, that would be this question right here, is that the ECG, the ECG was conducted and the ECG was printed too, and the system detected that the ECG file in the repository is already available, so that it is pending for you to enter, to perform the assessment and enter the ECG form. Okay, so once again, I'm cardiologist 1. I enter into the system. I run the missing form report. I scroll down here to the ECG missing query, and I see which are all the records that have pending ECG forms to be entered. Okay, so we are going to take this participant in particular, and we are going to do the assessment and upload the ECG form just to show you how it is done in the system. Okay. So you have to remember the participant ID right here, because you have to use it to get into the participant's booklet and enter the corresponding ECG form. So I'm going to copy this ID right here. And I'm going to go back to the participant list, okay? Data entry participant list. Now, the system is going, sorry. The system is going to show me all the records available, but we have to filter for the corresponding participant we want to upload the ECG form, okay? So you have to click here in the advanced search, and in the row corresponding to participant ID, I just paste the participant ID and hit enter, okay? And here we have isolated our participant, okay? That's not the only way, okay? I'm used to using the advanced search, but you can, for example, click on the column here, and the table will be arranged in ascending or descending order, and you can search for the corresponding participant here. Okay, see that here I have located, but I have to navigate to the second page. Okay, so I think that the fastest and most efficient way to do it is just use the advanced search and filter for the corresponding participant ID. Okay, now here we are, the system is displaying the participant in the participant list. Now we have to access the participant's booklet in order to modify the data in there. Okay, now to access the patient's booklet, you only have to press here in the edit button. Okay, so right now you're in the patient's booklet. Now I like you to notice something. See here that the system is showing that the screening form is uploaded, the delivery form and the SAF form have all been uploaded, but yet you enter here and you are not able to see the forms. Okay, that's because you are an ECG reviewer type user. The only forms that you will be available, that you'll be able to see, would be the ECG forms. Okay, now the only thing being displayed here as a new tab is this EMG. Now this is the participant's repository. Here is where all the files are going to be uploaded regarding to this participant. Okay, so in this repository, you'll be able to access all the ECG assessments. Okay, now here just uploaded some testing files, but here you're going to see for the ECG 5 minutes, you're going to see the ECG assessment, and you can, for example, click here and you can zoom in to the picture to do the assessment, or even if you yeah, you can right click on the image. You can download the image if you want to preview it using a program from your computer. Okay, but you have many ways to assess the image. Okay, so say that I have reviewed the image and I'm ready to complete the ECG form. Okay, now to complete the ECG form, you have to upload a new CRF. Now to upload a new CRF, you have to use the drop-down list here that says new CRF, and the system is going to show you the ECG forms sequentially. That is, first you have to upload the 5-minute form, then the 30-minute form, and then if there are any additional ECG files, you have to upload the additional ECG forms. Okay, so now I'm going to click on ECG 5 minutes. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you noticed, but just let me go back. see here that it says between parentheses the first, because I'm the first cardiologist to enter the ECG form. Okay, now if I upload it, if I enter the ECG form right now, and then the second cardiologist try to do the same, now the form that he's going to see is ECG 5 minute, but second, because he's the second cardiologist to enter the same ECG form. Okay, that's just a detail for you to know. Okay, now right now I just click in ECG 5 minutes, and what you see here is the ECG form data entry screen. Now this is simple. It's simple to complete. Now you have different type of fields. Now you have a closed fields, open fields, continuous fields. Now, but the data entry screen in essence is the same as the ECG forms in the physical format. Now, if you go here, now you have this would be the physical CRFs. Now, if you see the format, it's just the same as it is displayed here in the system. So you won't have any difficulties at the time of completing an ECG. Okay. Now, I'm going to enter this ECG fast so that we can move on and you can make questions. So for this ECG in particular, I'm going to upload it as if the assessment could not be done. So here, if I click here in the drop down, I just click here no, and see that the remaining fields are locked, because if the assessment could not be done, then only question 2A and question 2A S must be completed. So all the remaining fields are going to be locked, automatically locked. And now for the reason, I'm going to provide a reason to other and then specify a reason. Okay, so this is just going to type here reason A, but here I'm going to provide a real reason for not conducting the assessment. Okay, now once you are done completing the whole ECG form, in order to save the data, that is to upload the data into the system database, you have to scroll down. Here you see the save button. You have to press on it, okay? And if everything is okay and there weren't any kind of errors at the time of saving the new form, you to this screen right here that the system says the ECG data for this participant were saved successfully. Okay, I think that have yes or no. Go ahead.
Yeah. Obviously that's the free text box in there, but that won't
Yeah.
be used to assess for discrepancies, will it? That free text box, because obviously we will use subtly different wording and whatever that, but that won't be used, will it?
Yeah. That's a very good question. Yes, yes, it's very possible that it's going to raise discrepancies because it's free text and you may defer there. Yeah. So yeah. So next I'm going to show you how to use the double entry comparison, and you'll see that matching both records is going to be easy. The hard thing is that you must have like periodical meetings in order to agree on what it's on what's the changes or what would be the correct of the two ECG forms. Okay, so the hard thing would be to get to an agreement on which one's the correct one, if it's the first of the second entry, but doing the change in the system is easy.
So if we, if Matthias and I agree to change the wording so that it's the exact same wording, so it doesn't cause a discrepancy on the free text, that's probably the simplest way of ensuring it.
Yeah, I agree to that. Yeah. I agree to that. Yeah. So moving on, we have saved the ECG data. Now, if we go back to the participant list, you see that some things have changed right here. Now you see that the ECG 5 minutes has a tick because it has already been entered by cardiologist 1. And if you see here, I just displayed that in the repository. If you get into the repository, there are 2 files uploaded. Now that's what it's being displayed in the participant list. You're seeing the ECG 5 minutes file and the ECG 30-minute file. And most important here in the double entry ECG status, you see that the form is displayed in orange because I'm cardiologist 1. I've just uploaded the form, but the same form is still pending to be entered by the cardiologist 2. Okay, so what we're going to do now is log into the system as cardiologist 2 and upload the form to see if there are any differences between the 2 assessments. Okay, so just going to log out. So instead of cardio test 1, it could be cardio test 2. Okay. Now I am logged into the system as the cardiologist number 2. So again, I'm going to go to the participant list. And here you see again the data corresponding to participant ID 9338. Okay, so if we get into the participant booklet, you'll notice something different. Okay, so as we were logging as cardiologist 1, when we access the participants booklet from the participant list here, we could see that we have entered our ECG 5 minutes. Okay, but here the system is not showing me the form because I'm cardiologist 2. I'm not cardiologist 1. Okay, so that's another thing. The cardiologist 1 will only see the data uploaded by him, and the cardiologist 2 will only see the ECG forms uploaded by him. Okay, you won't be able to see each other's ECG forms. Okay, so again, I'm going to enter the ECG. Notice that again the drop down list here changed because now the ECG 5 is displayed following by second because I'm the second cardiologist to upload the ECG form for the 5 minutes. Okay, so I click here and I'm going to enter once again the ECG for the 5 minutes assessment, but let's try to complete something different so that we have at least one discrepancy. Okay, so ECG conducted, no. Now I'm going again to provide other, but in the reason, instead of providing reason A, I'm going to provide reason B. Okay, this is just an example here, but this is just to show you that both ECG differ from each other. Okay, and again, I'm going to save the data and see right now that the screen that the second ECG reviewer that enters the form sees is different compared to the first time the ECG is uploaded. Now the system is able to compare the two entries right here, and it's automatically highlighting all the fields with discrepancies. Okay. Now, in this case, the only field with discrepancy is this one, the specification for the other reason of not performing the ECG assessment. Okay, so you can use this table right here to correct the entry, but I'm not going to do that right now. I like to go back to the participant list and see here that the double entry ECG status changed. Now, instead of displaying the form in orange, the system is displaying the form in red, meaning that both of you have already uploaded the ECG 5-minute forms, but the system detected discrepancies. Okay, so you have to correct them. Okay, now what would you do in under this scenario? So if you see that one of the forms is displayed in red, so what you have to do is enter to the corresponding form. Okay, so I enter here. In these tabs, you'll see all the forms that have already been entered. Okay, so in this case, just the ECG form has been entered here. Now what the system is displaying is the data entry screen that we have just completed with the data we completed. Okay, so you can modify any of these fields, but what you're going to do is use the double entry comparison button. Okay, so this is to run the double entry comparison once again, but this time manually. Okay, so if we click right here, once again the system is comparing the fields, all the fields for both forms, and it is highlighting all the discrepancies detected. Okay, so in this case, only field ECG, the question 2 AS from the ECG 5-minute form. Okay, now say that you have already came to an agreement, and the say that the one reason that you're going to keep is reason A. Okay, so the correct entry is the one provided in the first entry. Okay, in this case for cardiologist 1. Okay, so this one is the correct reason. Now we have to correct reason B. So in order to do that, you have to click on one of these two buttons. Okay, so you just interpret the column right here. Now you say correct value is in. So in this case, we say reason A. So the correct value is in first entry. So if I click first entry right now, the system automatically matches both entries and the discrepancy is corrected. Okay, so you see that making the modification in the system is easy. What is hard, what would be hard for you to come to an agreement. Okay, so if you go back to the participant list, now you'll see that the ECG 5 minutes is displayed in green because the system detected that the ECG was uploaded for both cardiologists, and there is no mismatch of fields between those two forms. Okay, so you will always want to arrive to this status, to status green, because it means that both ECGs are entered and there are no differences between the two forms. Okay, if you access once again the form, you see here that the reason right here has been updated to reason A. Okay, but anytime you can access the patient's data and access to your ECG forms and modify anything here. Okay, so if again, let's say that I want to change a reason once again, and the input would be reason C. Okay, so in order to perform a modification of data that has already been entered, okay, because this ECG form has already been entered, you just modify the corresponding field, and before saving, you have to provide a reason for the modification you're about to make. Okay, so here, for example, correcting the reason. Okay, here you're going to provide a relevant reason for modifications that you make to real data, but here I'm just it's just to show you how would you modify an ECG form. Okay, so you provide a reason and then you save the form. Okay, so I think that now if I think that I didn't change anything. Okay, I don't know. Oh yeah, so I think that I provided a modification but didn't change anything at all. Okay, so here you see again that once I make modifications, again the system will highlight if it detects further discrepancies between the two forms entered. All right, and The status here once again was updated from green to red because once again there are discrepancies between the two forms. Okay, so that's how you would enter new ECG data and how you modify forms and how would you compare the two forms and match the two entries. Now, if you want to go ahead and enter a new ECG form, we just entered the 5 minutes assessment, but here we have the 30-minute ECG uploaded already. So if you would like to enter the ECG 30-minute forms, once again, you have to use the new CRF drop-down list, click on ECG 30-minute, and once again, perform the assessment and complete the ECG 30-minute forms, okay? So in this case, maybe we can conduct the assessment and then complete here. Just so you know, the system has, for example, if I enter here a value that is out of range, the system is going to display the valid range for this particular field, okay? So there is like an internal validation at the time of entering new data, okay? Here you, yeah, I think that, yes or no?
Did I see that the bottom rate for the heart rate was 50?
Oh yeah, so let me, yeah. So this one, this right
Yeah,
here.
because that shouldn't be so high. It should be a lot lower than that. I mean, it depends. Are you still allowed to input it if the number's lower, or is it just, does it not allow an input if you try to put a lower number than that?
Yeah, excellent question. So this is only to highlight possible outlier bias that may come from data entry errors like typo errors. But sometimes if you say that if you provide maybe 45, it's a valid input of heart rate. Okay, so the system is going to display this alert. But in any case, you can just go ahead and move on without changing the value. If that answers your question.
Yeah, Gina, if I may, just you can override the system. It's just the reason for the 50 is because this is the parameters that are also used for sites when they're entering into the system. So we want to try and make sure that, for instance, if we left it too low, we worry that it could be a typo. So that's why it's been set at 50.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. So again, this was a numerical field. Here you have a date field. Now, if you click on any of these, you'll get a calendar. I always recommend for you to use the calendar because the date's going to be automatically input in the right format. If not, you can provide the input manually, but if you make a mistake here, the input's going to be discarded. Okay, so here see that I entered using an invalid input. Okay, so this is going to display a message. Oh, sorry for that, we have to translate this. That's why I always recommend for you to use the calendar because it's automatically sets the date in the corresponding valid format. Okay. Here for the time, again, you must respect the 4 places. That would be 2 for the hours, 2 for the minutes. Okay, so if the input would be at 12 o'clock, then you cannot just simply input 12. If I press tab to jump to the next field, see that the input is discarded. Okay, so in order to provide 12 o'clock, the right way to do it would be 12:00. Okay, else it's going to be discarded. Okay, when the ECG stop, when this is yes. Arrhythmia, I'll say that we didn't detect any arrhythmia here, so the answer is no. So we jump to question 7 and say that we didn't detect anything else here, so no, no, and no. So we save once again. And just like that, we just saved a new ECG form, in this case corresponding to the 30-minute ECG assessment, okay? Now this is relevant to what Arnold asked. So even though you kind of trick the system and you provided the heart rate below the lower bound that was set for the heart rate in particular, the system will keep an inconsistency, okay? It's going to be stored in a separate table, okay? So in cases like that, now if you see that the input is okay, that in this case the 45 BPM is okay, then you have to send an email to us, to the central data management team, to confirm that the value is okay, and we will make what we call a query exemption, meaning that even though we have an inconsistency here, the value is okay, and it shouldn't be displayed as an inconsistency, okay? So you have to send an email to any of central data management team. That would be me, okay? Or Liana. Okay, don't worry. Just if you don't remember, if you go back to the system manual here, in the first section, here you have our emails once again, just to contact us if you have any type of queries or any issues related to the data management system. You just send an email to us and we try to answer as fast as possible. Okay. I don't know if now it's just simply showing everything that I have already told you. But for example, see here that we have the ECG 5-minute. Now the system is displaying also the ECG 30-minute because we uploaded the ECG 30-minute as cardio 2, but for cardio 1 it's still pending. So the system is showing it to me in orange status. Okay. I think that at this point it's relevant for us to check once again the missing form, the missing form report. Now, what is going to happen right now is that for cardiologist 2, the system won't claim the ECG 30 minutes because we have already uploaded. But for cardiologist 1, the system's still going to claim it because it hasn't been uploaded yet. Okay, so if I go to reports, missing form, and we just scroll down again here, you'll notice something different. See that for the ECG 5 minutes, our testing record is not being displayed anymore because we have already entered the 5-minute ECG, and the same we have done for the cardiologist too. But here, if you see for ECG 30 minutes, you see a discrepancy here because for cardiologist 2, the participant is not showing anymore because the cardiologist 2 has already uploaded the 30-minute assessment, but it is still pending for cardiologist 1. Okay, so it's still here, right? So this is just so you understand how the missing form report works. Okay. I don't know if there are any questions, maybe additional functionalities, some things, some tips and tricks that you may use. You can use the advanced search to make filters for particular things. For example, you can use the advanced search to filter for all ECGs with discrepancies. Now, to do that, I told you that the ECG with discrepancy will be highlighted in red. They will be displayed in red. Now, if you go to the advanced search here, and in the double entry row, you enter the keyword red, now the system is going to filter for all the participants with ECG forms in red status. So you see all the ECG forms with discrepancies, okay? Now, if you access any of these, now let's work with one that is not our testing record. Now, if we For example, we access this participant to the ECG 30 minutes right here. We go here to the 30 minutes and press on the double entry comparison. You'll see that there are some fields that are mismatching. That for the ECG first entry, for example, ECG question 2A, the answer is 1, but for ECG question 2, the second entry, the answer is 2. So you have to come to an agreement on this, and you have to decide which one's the correct entry, okay? If it's entry 1 or entry 2, okay? And correct the discrepancy in the way that I have already shown to you, right? Yes, I think that, yes or no?
Yeah. Can we access this testing area?
Sorry, the testing module, you mean?
You know, you have it in like a test mode where you can edit things and it's not a real patient. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not a test mode. It's that it's like when you're providing your user is allocated to one or many sites. Okay, since you are a cardiologist and you review all the sites from their entire studies, you're going to be allocated to all of the sites, but you're going to have a separate user that's going to be allocated to this testing center. That it's this one. You see here, if I go to the participant list, you see that all the center ID displayed here is 999. You won't see any other participant from any other center, because this testing user was allocated to the testing center. Okay, so when you're given the real access, the final access, you're going to see valid center IDs right here. But if you use your testing credential to access the testing module, what you're going to see is all the dummy cases that will be allocated to this center ID that will be 999. Okay. Now I'm going to provide you this testing user so that you can access the testing module. And then when the trial starts, I'm going to give you your final users where you're going to see the real data. You're not going to be able to see any of this data anymore, because this data belongs to the testing center. Okay, you'll only be able to see real data from valid center IDs. Okay.
Got it. One more question. So there are two ways of resolving a discrepancy. Either one person can upload a new form, or change their own form to match the other person's form, or you can say this one was correct. And that is there any preference over? Maybe this is a question for Tista, actually. Is there any preference over what is the preferred way of us resolving a discrepancy?
No preference from our side, Aaron. Whichever makes more sense to you and is easier for you to complete. Gina, is that right for you as well?
Yes, so we provide a double entry comparison because we think that it is something automatic and you don't have to think so much. But if you detect a discrepancy, yes, you can simply access the form, perform manually the modification in the corresponding field, and make the correction. Okay, but that implies a lot of extra steps. Okay, the double entry comparison is something automatic and something easier. That's why we recommend you to use that. Okay.
Aaron, I think also the question that you were trying to ask is if it would matter in terms of our analysis, and it doesn't. We would just be using your final, whatever your final agreed scoring is.
Great, understood. Thanks.
Good. So I think that if there are no any more questions or issue, maybe I just
question just for Matthias. How many cases do you think we should go through before we then have like a meeting where we go through some of our discrepancies? Because I think we should I think there are either going to be loads of discrepancies or no discrepancies. So do you think maybe should we decide after once after we've had a look at 5 patients each, we should meet up and or something like that before we go do too many, so we can just get a sense to make sure that we're not being too discrepant from each other?
I think that that's an answer. That's a question for Matthias. You can. That's something that you have to discuss between the two of you. So for me, it's the same. I agree. However, on that, maybe you can fill up to the 5th participant or the 10th participant, and then have a meeting to discuss whether there are too many discrepancies or no discrepancies, and then decide how to move forward. Yeah, but that's something that you discuss and arrange with Matthias.
Yeah. Matthias, would you be happy? Should we do 5?
Yes, I think that should work fine. I mean, we can settle, I don't know, weekly meetings, or I don't know, sort of, and see and talk together. Because if it happens, as you say, that we have too many discrepancies, we will have to meet, I don't know, with more frequency. And if there are none, then we can skip some of those meetings and just keep talking. But I think that's a number that should work, at least in the beginning.
Yeah. I agree. I think it's difficult to know how often we will need to meet. So I think let's do 5, and then we'll know after 5, not definitely, but roughly how often then we'll need to be meeting after that. Yeah.
Perfect. Yes. Agreed.
And just if I may, if there are any of those 5, for instance, issues with ECG uploads, things like that, it would be good to know, so that, you know, I think that gets fed back to the data management system, but really so that we get that information ASAP, because we're going to be starting recruitment actually on Tuesday. So if there is any issues, then we need to work with the sites to retrain. We only have 3 months with this study, so we really need to kind of get into it if needed. So very much supportive of that idea.
Perfect. Sure.
Right.
I think that since we are here, I can share with you the testing access right now. So so basically the username, this is for a testing record. It's lower on security because it's just a testing module. We don't care very much what you do with the testing user, because the important is that you're not able to modify real data. Okay, so no problem here. Now the username and password for the first testing cardiologist will be cardiotest1 and cardiotest1. And for the second one, the same, cardiotest2 and cardiotest2. Okay, so I think that we have already agreed that Arnold will be cardio1 and Matthias cardio2. Okay, so use those credentials to access the testing, the testing module. Just use the system as you please. Don't worry on modifying anything, because it's not going to affect the real data. And we'll try to keep these users throughout the real trial. So if you have any questions at any point, you can access this testing center to try anything new. Okay. So perfect. And then you can go to the real data and do the proper modification or whatever you are worried about. Okay. So we'll try to keep this testing record, this testing user, and then give you the final users. Just keep in mind the difference. Don't commit the mistake of trying to enter real data with the testing user. Okay. That's why we usually remove the testing user once we provide the final user. But for your case, we can keep the 2 of them. Just remember that one user is for testing purposes and the other is for entering real ECG data. Okay?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and of course, that final user will be provided blinded. Okay, you Arnold will receive your your final credentials separately, and Matthias will receive his own separately. Okay, so you won't be able to access each other users. Okay, this is just because it's the testing center. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So thank you very much for joining. Remember that you will have my contact information to to reach out to me should you have any questions or issues with the platform, and we'll keep in contact. Okay. I'll stop the recording right now, and I'm going to share it with you once it is ready. Okay.
Thank you very much.
And just to say thanks so much to both of you as well, and please do let us know if there's anything you